When making your concrete countertops, if you want it to overhang, you screw on a 2x4 onto the front flush with the cement board. And then what's going to be next is a 1x6 pine board that's going to screw onto the front of this and be 2 inches higher for the concrete. So you've got to mark your board here at 2 inches so you're going to know how to screw it on to have the proper height. So that's what we're doing here now. We measured 2 inches in and we're making a line here so that we can screw it on properly. Now we're not going to have an overhang on the rear of the island because we're just close to this block wall, so we won't use the 2x4s on the rear. But it's really better if you're going to have stucco or stone. You really need an overhang to keep water from getting into the back, which could make your stone veneer fall off if you're doing stone. So this, you can see how this gives you a nice 1.5 inch overhang from a 2x4 here. So that's really a great way to go. Now he's got the line. We'll go ahead and 2 people here will screw this on to the back through the cement board into the steel framing. Okay, we're continuing to install our form boards here. This little piece is for the corner here up against the fireplace. We went back to Home Depot and we decided to go ahead and get the right screws. They're 2 3/4 inch long. Fill wafer head self-drilling wing screws, part number 50548. These are holding the boards really good into the 18 gauge steel frame. You can see that we have the 1x6s on the back screwed in. It was very hard to get those in being so close to this wall. And we have our 2x4 on the front to make the overhang on the front here. Just a few more pieces to go and we'll have it ready to pour the concrete. So here we're doing the forms for the grill cutout. Now because we wanted to do the overhang on the front 1.5 inches, we also have to install a piece, a 2x4 here in the back of the grill cutout to compensate for the extension that we're adding to the front here. So now that we've added this piece in the rear of the cutout and we have our overhang on the front, now we'll go ahead and install the 1x6s in the front here for the 2 inch depth concrete. And then we'll come around here and we'll install the 1x6 around the front as well and around that end, and then we'll have 2 inches of form boards all the way around with the overhang on the front. If you wanted to put overhang on the back, you just duplicate the same system that we're doing on the front. It's that easy. Here is the completed job on the forms. You can see how we installed the 1x6 pine boards for the drop-in ice bin, for the sink, and we installed them for the grill. I put a board up here to just kind of help as a splash guard to not get a lot of concrete onto my fireplace. And you can see how we're going to have that nice overhang, how that's worked out. So this is all very nice. Now we have a seam here, but the concrete's so thick we're not worried about that. But if we were doing a tile countertop, you'd have to put tape and thin set mortar over all the countertop seams for a tile countertop. But for concrete, we're okay. So everything looks good here. We took our builder's level and we went from here across the other side to make sure that these were all the same height and even. So that's a good trick. And everything's screwed in together. All screw heads are on the outside of the concrete. Never put screw heads on the inside because when the concrete hardens you won't be able to unscrew this stuff. So screw heads are always on the outside here, and on these cutouts the screw heads are on the inside where the ice chest would go in, allowing you to unscrew this when we're done. Now it's going to take 14 days to cure. Then we'll come back and grind and polish this and bring out the beautiful aggregate. We could put glass in this countertop or anything fancy, but we're just trying to keep it simple and just a nice concrete countertop on a very low budget here of around $100. So this is turning out really great. We spent a few hours here doing these form boards. It was a little bit hard with the concrete block wall behind us, but we did manage to get it all set up here. Now we got our 10 bags of sackcrete over here. They're 80 pounds a bag, so we got about 800 pounds of dry weight here, and when we mix it in water, this is going to be well over 1,000-pound countertop, so that's why you got to have 18 gauge steel like the BBQ Coach Pro panels are made out of. Now we've got an electric mixer, and we got a mixing bucket here, and we'll mix one bucket at a time with our water. We got the hose here, and then we'll carry it over in this bucket over to the outdoor kitchen island and pour in one bucket at a time carefully. We'll make a layer about an inch or so up here, and then we'll lay down our ladder wire to reinforce this like rebar. That will be in the middle and sandwiched into the concrete for extra holding strength. So let's go ahead and start doing the concrete. To make the form boards release easier from the concrete, I like to take WD-40 and I just simply spray the inside of these boards here, like so. I'll do that on the cutouts and every place around here, and the whole side of the frames, so that way it'll come off easy when the concrete's hard. Let's get started. Okay, we put a little water and dumped our first bag of the concrete in here. We dumped the whole 80-pound bag. Now we're using our electric mixer. And make sure you're out somewhere where you can make a mess and no one's going to get mad at you here, like out here in the dirt. We're doing it. You wouldn't want to do this on your nice concrete patio and make a mess. You might want to lay down tarps or something to protect your patio when doing messy jobs like this. It really helps a lot to have this electric mixer. You can rent it at any tool rental place. We own ours. It was a few $100s. That really saves your back instead of using a shovel the old-fashioned way. Now you don't want to overwater it, but you got to get it wet enough that it's going to produce a strong countertop. It should look like a thick sauce, like Thousand Island dressing here. Okay, that looks really good. So now 2 men will carry this over and carefully dump it into the countertop, and we'll just do this one bag at a time till all 10 bags are completed here. Let's get going. Okay, we poured the first 80 pounds in there, and it went quite a long ways here. We're just filling it at halfway depth right now, all the way across. Only halfway depth. Now we're going to go ahead and bring over in a second bucket. Now, as you're filling this up with concrete, if it starts to dry out from the heat, go ahead and take your hose and spray some water on here to kind of wetten it up and make it more easy to spread out. Make sure that near the countertop you really push it down in here and get it into the grooves so there's not big air holes here. You got to push it down, work it in. You want it really nice around the front here where the countertop's going to show. Okay, we can see how we've laid down some ladder wire here in the middle of the concrete. We had a couple scraps we threw in for extra strength. One across the back. We make sure we come in about 3 inches from the edge, and we don't overlap it. We just let it lay flat here so that it'll be sandwiched in between the concrete with about an inch or inch and a half of concrete on the top here. So we're doing good. Now we'll go ahead and keep filling this in all the way up to the top. Now we take a 2x4 and on any low points we add extra cement, and then we're going to go back and forth with this 2x4 to make a nice even countertop going over from the form boards across back and forth like this. We'll do the entire length of the island and we'll fill in any low points. This is how you make a nice level concrete countertop. It's not difficult. We're just going back and forth, and any low points you just add a handful of concrete. Excess goes off onto the ground, so this is a very messy job. Now if you get some concrete on your cement board on the sides here, you can take your hose and wash it off. It won't hurt your cement board any to clean up a little bit. But you can see why we like to do the countertop first with concrete, because of all the mess. If you had stucco on the side here, you would ruin it for sure. So you got to do this first. See how nice and level that's coming out by doing this. It's good to have some latex gloves to protect your hands, because this cement really just dries all the moisture out of your hands. He just goes back and forth. Very nice. He'll do the whole island this way. So now we're taking our wooden float here and we're smoothing all of this out, and it's bringing the water up to the top. You can see how nice and smooth and even surface this wooden float is making it here. You can see how messy the extra concrete will fall off to the side here. Just gotta try to make it as level as possible. That's looking already really nice. If you're worried your concrete is drying out from high heat, go ahead and mist it with the hose. But preferably it's better to do this early in the morning before the sun gets too hot. Now we're going to go ahead and put some of our blue pebbles on the top here. I'm going to space them out the way that I feel that it's creative and will look nice. You can use glass, or you can use seashells, or fine colored pebbles or something like this. And I'm just going to spread them around in the countertop. And then I'm going to take my wooden float and I'm going to pound these down into the concrete, just so they're down underneath the surface, and then we'll go over it and make it so that it's covered with a small thickness of slurry, and then later when we grind and polish, that blue will come out and look very beautiful and shine. So I'll just continue along and space these out the way I want them and pound them in like that, and it's that easy. And this is just a beautiful blue fiberglass pebbles that I'm using right now, and they have special glass for concrete counters as well. So there's a lot of choices in colors and different finishes you can do. You can also do tinted concrete if you wanted a different color than this gray. So it's really nice, a lot of choices. We're using the wooden float to submerge these fiberglass pebbles. You can see they're completely covered over with the concrete, just a thin layer. And then it's all about sanding off that top layer to expose these beautiful blue colors that will shine in that gray concrete. It's going to look really nice. These are topaz colored fire pebbles from Modern Flames. You've got to smooth the concrete over these pebbles after you knock them in. Make sure they're not sticking out. You don't want to have an uneven countertop surface. They've got to be submerged and smoothed in under the concrete. Just like that. That looks great. Okay, it's Sunday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we have our concrete countertops completed here. They're ready to dry, and I'll come back tomorrow and take off these form boards and let them cure for a couple of weeks and come back and polish and grind them and make them very beautiful. But I think even if I didn't come back and grind and polish, they would still look very nice, concrete, nice and smooth and level, and it really fits the landscape. Concrete countertops have grown very much in popularity for outdoor kitchens. It's something that will last a lifetime, and it's nice and sturdy, and it just fits the landscape very well. I think this cost around $100, that's all. We saved a lot of money. It was much easier and cheaper than doing a tile countertop or granite slab. And if you have 2 or 3 people to help you, it's a very easy job to do in one day. Tune in next week for the grind and polishing. Thank you.